Hello and welcome. You're watching Agenda on NDTV 24/7. I'm Kajari Sen, and today we're going to be talking about the kind of pressure that a new party inevitably comes under. Aam Aadmi Party has seen unprecedented success over the last couple of months. They're now planning to go a lot larger, and therefore, of course, the scrutiny that every word coming out of the party camp gets is completely ridiculous. And now this has affected Prashant Bhushan, who has said that he feels that the people of Kashmir should be allowed to have a referendum on whether they want the army to protect them and give them the internal security mandate. Parties across the board, with more experience possibly, have said that's not the case. At the end of the day, this is a matter of national security. And it seems to have set the cat among the pigeons when the Aam Aadmi Party tried to disassociate itself from Mr. Bhushan's statement. Now, does Aam Aadmi Party's leaders' individual views hurt the party? That's the question we're asking on Agenda today. Let's first take a look at what Mr. Bhushan said and what the various responses to it were, and then we will get started.
For external defense, certainly the government of India can decide where to deploy the army. However, if it is supposed to be used for the internal security of the people there, then should you not have the consent of the people?
प्रशांत जी ने जो कुछ कहा है पार्टी उससे बिल्कुल सहमत नहीं है। आर्मी को देश में कहां-कहां डिप्लॉय करने की जरूरत है, ये इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी थ्रेट और जरूरत के आधार पे होना चाहिए। इसमें रेफरेंडम होने का सवाल ही नहीं उठता है।
उन्होंने कहा कुछ और था, वो अलग बात है। उन्होंने इसके ऊपर आज ही अपनी तरफ से एक प्रेस स्टेटमेंट इशू किया है और प्रशांत जी का स्टेटमेंट क्लैरिफाई करेगा पर्याप्त तरीके से कि वो क्या कहना चाह रहे थे, उनका मंतव्य क्या है, उनका प्रयोजन क्या था उस कहने के पीछे। आम आदमी पार्टी का इसके ऊपर कहना ये है कि हमारा ये मानना है कि ये कोई बहस का विषय नहीं है। हमारा ये विश्वास है, हमारी ये सहमति है सबकी कि कश्मीर भारत का अभिन्न अंग है। और अच्छी चीज ये है कि प्रशांत भूषण जी भी इस राय से सहमति रखते हैं, इस राय में, इस सोच में अपना विश्वास रखते हैं।
The presence of security forces in a particular area is not dependent on populism or referendum. If domestic modules of terrorists continue, then to suggest that you demilitarize that area despite terror would be disastrous for Indian security.
It's important for the AAP party to realize that now they are no longer an NGO or activists anymore. You have to, think, ponder, and be very, aware of the consequences of what you say. So, I've heard that Mr. Arvind Kejriwal has said that he is actually doesn't agree with Mr. Bhushan's statement.
So are AAP leaders' comments hurting the party? That is the question that we are putting out today, and we've got BJP spokesperson Pinky Anand with us on the show to say yes, it is in fact hurting the party. We've also got with us from Aam Aadmi Party Atishi Marlena to say no, the party is fine and individual leaders can have their individual opinions. So we've also got, of course, an audience to put their questions to these leaders. But let's start off with our first talking point now, which is there a disconnect between the Aam Aadmi Party line and its leadership? Atishi, let me just get you on this first. Is there a disconnect?
Actually, I think when you look at the Aam Aadmi Party, you have to look at it a bit differently from existing political parties. This is a political party that has arisen from a movement against corruption. So more than a political party in a very straitjacketed manner, this is still a political movement, far closer in some ways to maybe the freedom struggle or the national movement. So when you have a political party emerging from a social movement, you have various strands of thought that exist within that. And in fact, it's interesting the Congress is criticizing the Aam Aadmi Party today because in the late 40s, actually, within the Congress itself, there existed many strands of thought. You had Patel on the one hand, and you had Jayaprakash Narayan on the other. One represented a rightist point of view, one represented a leftist point of view. And there existed a debate and dialogue within the freedom struggle itself.
Right.
And I think what you see now in the Aam Aadmi Party is a similar phenomenon. You have people coming from different points of view who stood up against the corruption that existed in our political system. And yes, there are issues on which there are differences, and discussion and dialogue is still on.
Right. So let me then just take it over to Pinky Anand. Now, ma'am, they're saying that differing views can exist within a party, but Isn't it important at this point to put forward a united face politically? How important is a united face?
I'm nobody to advise what the Aam Aadmi Party should be doing, but having said that, I find this strand of thought which Atishi had just said a little amusing, I might say, sorry, because of the simple fact that when you have a political movement, that is one thing. When you form a political party, there is the entity of the party which is coming forth. It is not individuals who are there in some incohesive group which are just getting together and making some kind of viewpoint. You have to have a unified stand which is coming through very coherently, and today Aam Aadmi Party is not only restricting itself to Delhi, it seems to be stretching its wings further. So you're talking about the entire country being involved. If that be the case, I think the least one would expect is unanimity of thought, and if you have different views within the party, definitely they're not for public consumption. I mean, you may have different views, people do have that, I understand that, but to come across publicly and make different platforms and then for Arvind Kejriwal to say, you know, I deny this stand, what kind of communication does that give to the people at large? And that too in such an issue of national security. You're not talking about some minor subject, you know, but if you come across major issues, because I think Aam Aadmi Party was being criticized for not coming up with its stand on the major issues, and it was being said that by the public at large also, as well as maybe by some of the political parties, that they are restricting themselves to one agenda. It's not going to go further. Right. So this great desire to go for the further issues has obviously put some kind of pressure on the Aam Aadmi Party, and there you are having these divergent views being made public, and the contradiction being apparent on the face of it, as well as it being antithetical to national security.
Atishi, do you feel that there is an undermining then of a statement which is being made by one senior leader of the party by another?
Actually, I think I would actually disagree with my colleague from the BJP here, that I don't think the party is under pressure. The party has very clearly stated that yes, we have said from the beginning that we are coming from different strands of thought. And we are evolving our positions. And yes, within our party, there is as of now a possibility for people having different views. But for example, in the case of Delhi, which is the place where we have fought elections so far, we did come up with a consensus within the party and we took up what were people's issues. And that is precisely the process that has already begun for the national elections. There are people from our party who are speaking to common men and women across the country about what their real issues are. And we are trying to find solutions and evolve a consensus within the party. So I think you have to realize that what you are regarding as the fact that someone stated something on television, this is also an era of 24/7 television, where any single statement is often twisted and blown out of proportion for TRPs. And because again, I could go back to the national movement and say that when Jawaharlal Nehru was in jail during the Quit India movement, he was actually severely criticizing Mahatma Gandhi for his strategy in the Quit India movement. It's just that then we didn't have 24-hour channels who would sort of flash it as their headlines. So within political parties, debate, differences of opinion are a very healthy thing. It's not as if that there should be one party line and everyone has to follow it. People can have differences of opinion, and from those differences of opinion and ideas, new policies can evolve.
But I think one of the criticisms, Atishi, and I'll let Pinky get on this as well. One of the criticisms which has come as far as Aam Aadmi Party is concerned quite consistently is that it is, when it's looking at a national policy, a national formation going ahead, 2014 elections around the corner, do you think this kind of sort of unpreparedness is going to be a problem? Because at the end of the day, pointing out problems is something that Aam Aadmi Party has been very strong at, giving solutions, and that we've heard the BJP point this out several times, Pinky. They're not providing solutions, and you think this kind of confusion is going to reinforce that?
Absolutely. Let's go back to Delhi. You had the declaration and the manifesto was you're going to reduce electricity. It was not reduced. It was said you will give free water. Free water, if at all, has been given. It has been given to less than 1% of the population of Delhi. All the rest is paying higher for it, so therefore they are the ones who are actually paying for the subsidy. It was said that they would not take official residences, they would not take cars. It was taken immediately after the trust vote. It was said that the national agenda is not clear for the Aam Aadmi Party. So here you have the next volley coming across from Prashant. And by the way, it's not that I would go along with Atishi to say sometimes the media does play up things, but in this case Kejriwal has denied what Prashant Bhushan has said. Forget the media for a moment. So it's not a question of what the media is saying, what I am saying. It is Mr. Kejriwal who is saying they disassociate with the statement of Mr. Prashant Bhushan, and this, by the way, is not the first time. It has happened earlier also when there was a question of alliance between Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP. At that stage also Mr. Prashant Bhushan had made a statement. Aam Aadmi Party at that stage also disassociated. So they are acting like the Congress, and Digvijay saying, where statements are made by Digvijay and it is said, sorry, that is his individual statement. You don't do like this in political life.